The last thing on Vivian Reed's mind when she walked into the charity gala at the Plaza Hotel was pretending to be a billionaire's wife. The second to last thing was running into her ex-fiancé. But fate has a wicked sense of humor. Vivian Reed. That voice. Damn it. That voice. Vivian froze, her champagne flute halfway to her lips. 3 years. It had been 3 years since Trevor Whitmore had left her at the altar, literally with a simple text. Sorry, can't do this. Good luck with everything. And now he was here, 10 feet away, with his catalog model smile and a blonde hanging on his arm who looked like she'd stepped straight out of a designer runway show. Trevor. Vivian forced a smile that probably looked more like she'd bitten into a lemon. What a surprise. You look stunning. Trevor approached, dragging the blonde with him. Isa, this is Vivian. The Vivian I told you about. The Vivian I told you about? As if she were some amusing anecdote. Oh, the bride who Isa began. But Trevor elbowed her not very subtly either. Vivian's blood pressure spiked. She could feel heat creeping up her neck. She needed to escape immediately. Actually, I was just... And you're married? Dating? Trevor tilted his head with that air of false concern she knew so well. I've always worried if you'd be able to move forward. Move forward. She wasn't some stalled vehicle. Of course I moved forward. The words came out louder than Vivian intended. A few faces turned. Fantastic. I'm married. Why did she say that? Why did she say that? Really? Isa's eyes lit up with vulture-like curiosity. To whom? Vivian looked frantically around. She needed a rescue. Anyone. Even the short waiter with the shrimp cocktail tray would work. But that's when her eyes landed on him. Tall, midnight black hair styled with precision. A suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. A jawline that looked carved by a master sculptor on their best day. And a facial expression that screamed he'd rather be absolutely anywhere else. He stood alone near a pillar, staring at his phone with the universal body language of leave me alone. Perfect. Him. Vivian pointed. Trevor followed her finger. His jaw dropped. Declan Blackwell? Wait, he knew the guy. Yes, Declan. My husband. We've known each other for years. It was love at first sight. Very romantic. Ridiculously romantic. She was rambling. Definitely rambling. Declan Blackwell, Isa whispered, awestruck. The Declan Blackwell from Blackwell Industries? The one on Forbes's most eligible bachelors list? Bachelors. Vivian heard herself say, that list is ancient history. Completely outdated. Because he got married to me recently. I absolutely need to meet him. Isa practically vibrated. Trevor, didn't you say your father does business with Blackwell Industries? This was spiraling catastrophically out of control. Actually, he's incredibly busy. Declan. Trevor was already waving. Declan Blackwell. No. The devastatingly handsome, irritated-looking man glanced up from his phone. He looked around, puzzled. Trevor waved more enthusiastically, like he was directing air traffic. And then, remarkably, the man started walking toward them. Vivian felt her legs turn to jelly. This was happening. This was actually happening. In approximately 10 seconds, her ridiculous lie would explode in front of Trevor, Isa, and half of Manhattan's power players. 7 seconds. Their eyes met gray, storm cloud gray. 5 seconds. She could see confusion flashing across his features. 3 seconds. He opened his mouth to speak. 2 seconds. Trevor was grinning like he'd won the lottery. 1 second. Vivian did the only thing her panic-stricken brain could manufacture. She launched herself into the stranger billionaire's arms and hugged him like her life depended on it. Sweetheart. She practically screamed against his chest, which was solid as granite and smelled like something expensive and cedar-scented. I missed you desperately. His body went rigid. Completely rigid. Like she'd embraced a marble column. Against his ear, Vivian whispered frantically, Please, I'm begging you. Just play along. I'll pretend to be your wife for 5 minutes and never bother you again. Please. There was a moment of absolute silence. Vivian could feel his heartbeat against her cheek. Or was it hers? Impossible to distinguish. And then, miraculously, she felt his arms close around her. Slowly, hesitantly, but they were there. Vivian, he said. and his voice was deep and measured, with a slight edge of confusion he was clearly trying to mask. "Darling." She nearly collapsed with relief. When they finally separated, Vivian kept one hand on his arm, partly to seem convincing, partly because her legs had become unreliable. Trevor, Declan, nor whoever he actually was, extended his hand with a corporate smile that didn't reach his eyes. "What an unexpected encounter, Mr. Blackwell. What an honor." Trevor shook his hand with both hands like an overexcited golden retriever. "My father, Preston Whitmore and Associates. We work with Blackwell Industries Investment Division." "Certainly." His response was polite but utterly hollow. Clearly, he had zero idea who Preston Whitmore was. Vivian felt a spark of vindictive satisfaction seeing Trevor's smile waver. "And this," Trevor pulled Isa forward, "is my fiancée, Isa Kensington." "Congratulations," Declan said with zero enthusiasm. Then his eyes dropped to Vivian, and there was something there, amusement, irritation, complete bewilderment. "But you'll have to excuse us. My wife and I have plans." "Wife?" He actually said wife. "We do?" Vivian asked automatically. He looked at her with an expression that clearly communicated, "You started this mess." "We do," he repeated firmly, and his hand found her waist large, warm, commanding. Vivian almost choked. "Dinner reservation. You know how impossible it is to get a table at Pearl. Pearl, the 3 Michelin-star restaurant with a months-long waiting list, right? Our dinner at Pearl that I absolutely didn't forget." Vivian laughed nervously. Declan pulled her closer, and she could swear she saw a glint of malicious amusement in his eyes. "You always forget our reservations, darling," he said smoothly. But there was a cutting edge in his tone. "It's almost like you just invented our entire marriage approximately 2 minutes ago." Vivian stepped completely accidentally, of course on his foot. "How adorable newlyweds are." Isa sighed, completely oblivious to the tension. "You two are precious. We should arrange a double date." "We'd be delighted." Declan lied effortlessly. "But Vivian and I are relocating to Singapore tomorrow. Permanently. Zero plans to return." "Tomorrow?" Vivian repeated. "Tomorrow," he confirmed, staring directly at her with an expression that demanded, "Shut up and nod." What a tragedy. Trevor seemed genuinely disappointed, or was acting brilliantly. "But you absolutely must come to our engagement party. It's next Saturday in the Hamptons at the Kensington family estate. Everyone will be there." "We can't possibly," Vivian started. "We'll be there," Declan interrupted. Vivian whipped around to face him, stunned. "We will?" "Absolutely, darling." He smiled, but his eyes were frozen steel. I'd never miss an opportunity to celebrate authentic love. There was definitely something passive-aggressive buried in that sentence. "Perfect." Isa was already grabbing her phone. "I'll send the invitation immediately." "Oh, and Vivian, wear a formal gown. It's black tie. And bring weekend attire. It begins Friday evening. A weekend, an entire weekend pretending to be married to a grumpy stranger billionaire in the Hamptons. What could possibly go wrong?" 10 minutes later, Vivian was in the ladies' room, gripping the marble sink and trying to remember how basic respiration functioned. The door opened. An older woman dripping in diamonds entered and stopped when she saw Vivian's expression. "Are you all right, dear?" "Fantastic." Vivian let out a slightly unhinged laugh. "I just pretended to be married to a billionaire to impress my ex, and now I have to maintain the charade for an entire weekend. Everything's completely normal." The woman blinked. Then she opened her clutch and offered Vivian a business card. "My therapist," she said gently. "You're going to need her." Vivian took the card with shaking hands. When she looked up, the woman had vanished. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello. Lobby now." It was Declan's deep voice. "We need to talk." He disconnected before she could respond. Vivian stared at her reflection in the mirror, auburn hair disheveled, mascara slightly smudged, silk dress that had seemed elegant at home but now clearly screamed, "I don't belong here." "You can handle this," she told herself. "It's just one weekend. How catastrophic could it be?" But when she exited the bathroom and saw Declan Blackwell waiting in the corridor, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, jaw clenched, and an expression that promised a serious conversation, Vivian realized she'd gotten herself into something far, far more complicated than she'd imagined. He pushed off the wall when he spotted her and walked toward her with measured, deliberate steps. "So," he said quietly, dangerously quiet. "My wife. I believe you owe me an explanation." Vivian swallowed hard. This definitely wasn't in her plans for the evening. Declan Blackwell was not a man accustomed to being surprised. He'd negotiated billion-dollar deals with poker-faced oligarchs, stared down hostile board members, and once made a Fortune 500 CEO cry during a merger discussion. Nothing fazed him, until a random woman threw herself into his arms at a charity gala and whispered desperately that she needed him to pretend to be her husband. And he'd agreed. What was wrong with him? Now, standing in the plaza's marble-floored corridor, watching this Vivian Reed person stumble out of the bathroom looking like she'd been through a natural disaster, Declan was seriously questioning his life choices. She stopped when she saw him. Her eyes went wide. Then she did something completely unexpected. She smiled a nervous, slightly manic smile, but a smile nonetheless. "Hi," she said brightly, too brightly. "So, that happened." "Yes," Declan said flatly. "That happened. And now you're going to explain exactly why it happened." Her smile faltered. She tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. A nervous gesture, he noted. She was shorter than he'd realized during their impromptu embrace, maybe 5'5" heels, big hazel eyes that currently looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Right. Explanation." "Of course." She laughed awkwardly. "So, funny story." "I don't want a funny story," Declan interrupted, crossing his arms. "I want the truth. You have 2 minutes." She blinked. 2 minutes? "Starting now." "Okay. Okay." Vivian held up her hands. "Trevor, the guy back there, is my ex-fiancé. He left me at the altar 3 years ago via text on our wedding day while I was literally putting on my dress." Declan's expression didn't change, but internally he revised his opinion of Trevor Whitmore from annoying to complete waste of oxygen. "And tonight I ran into him for the first time since, and he was with his perfect new fiancée. And he asked if I'd moved on like I was some kind of broken appliance. And I just..." She gestured wildly. "I panicked. I said I was married, and then he asked who, and you were right there looking all brooding and billionaire-ish. And my mouth just made a decision my brain wasn't part of." "Brooding and billionaire-ish," Declan repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Is that really the part you're focusing on? You dragged me into your elaborate lie to impress your ex-fiancé." "Not to impress him," Vivian protested. "To survive the conversation without dying of humiliation. There's a difference." "And the Hamptons weekend?" She winced. "Yeah, that was unexpected. Why did you say yes to that?" By the way, Declan had been asking himself the same question. The truth was, he'd seen something in her eyes when Trevor mentioned the party, fear, vulnerability, the same look his sister used to get when their father would criticize her. And he'd reacted without thinking, which was not like him at all. "That's irrelevant," he said instead. "What matters is that you've created a situation that could damage my reputation if it goes sideways. I know. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I'll call Trevor tomorrow and tell him we broke up or divorced, or that you died in a tragic yachting accident." "A yachting accident? Too dramatic?" "Slightly." They stared at each other for a moment. Then, inexplicably, Vivian started laughing, not a polite chuckle, but a full, genuine laugh that echoed off the marble walls. "I'm sorry," she gasped, wiping her eyes. "This is just so ridiculous. I hugged a random billionaire at a charity gala and convinced my ex I married him. This is like a plot from a bad rom-com." Declan felt the corner of his mouth twitch. He suppressed it immediately. He did not find this amusing. He was annoyed, irritated, definitely not amused. "I'm glad you're entertained," he said dryly. "Oh, come on. You have to admit it's a little funny." "I don't have to admit anything." "You smiled." "I saw it." "I did not smile." Your mouth twitched. "That's basically a smile for someone like you." "Someone like me?" "You know, brooding, billionaire-ish." There it was again. Despite himself, Declan felt another almost smile threatening to break free. He crushed it ruthlessly. "Miss Reed. Vivian. If we're supposed to be married, you should probably call me Vivian. We are not married. But Trevor thinks we are. And apparently, So does half of Manhattan, judging by the way people were staring at us. She had a point. Declan had noticed the phones coming out, the whispered conversations. By tomorrow morning, photos of their reunion would be all over social media. The gossip blogs would have a field day. Declan Blackwell, Manhattan's most notorious commitment phobe, secretly married. His PR team was going to have a heart attack. "This is a disaster," he muttered. "I know. I'm really, really sorry. Vivian stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening. "Oh no. What?" "Don't turn around." Naturally, Declan turned around. Trevor and Isa were heading their way. Big smiles plastered on their faces. "Darn it," Vivian hissed. "We need to look married," Declan said quickly. "How do married people look?" "I don't know. Comfortable. Familiar. We met 20 minutes ago." "Then improvise." Before Vivian could respond, Declan did something he'd never done before in his life. He reached out, pulled her close, and tucked her against his side. His arm wrapped around her waist like it belonged there. She fit surprisingly well. Vivian stiffened for half a second, then melted into the embrace, her hand coming to rest on his chest. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple who'd done this 1,000 times. "You're good at this," she murmured. "I'm good at everything," Declan replied. "Modest, too." "There you two are," Isa called out, practically skipping toward them. "We couldn't let you leave without exchanging numbers." "Yeah," Trevor added, slightly less enthusiastic but pasting on a smile anyway. "We need to coordinate for next weekend." "Of course," Declan said smoothly, pulling out his phone. "Vivi, darling, what's your number?" "I seem to have forgotten it." Vivian shot him a look that clearly said, "You're pushing it," but rattled off her number anyway. Declan saved it under wife fake, then quickly changed it to just Vivian when he caught her trying to peek at his screen. Perfect. Isa was already typing on her phone. "I just sent you the details. Friday at 6 p.m., welcome cocktail party, then dinner. Saturday is the actual engagement party, and Sunday brunch before everyone leaves. You'll love the estate. It's right on the beach." "Sounds wonderful," Vivian said, her voice slightly strained. "Oh, and there's a couple's spa session Saturday morning," Isa added. "Mandatory. Trevor's mother insists on it." "Couple's spa session." Of course. Declan felt Vivian's hand tighten on his chest. He gave her waist a reassuring squeeze, surprising himself. When did he become the reassuring type? "We wouldn't miss it," he heard himself say. Trevor's smile looked a bit forced. "Great. It'll be good to catch up, Viv." Viv. The nickname made Declan's jaw tighten inexplicably. "She prefers Vivian," he said coolly. 3 pairs of eyes turned to him in surprise. "Oh," Trevor said awkwardly. "Right. Sorry, I forgot." "No problem," Vivian said quickly, but Declan caught the flash of satisfaction in her eyes. After a few more minutes of painful small talk, Trevor and Isa finally left. The moment they were out of sight, Vivian stepped away from Declan like she'd been electrocuted. "Okay," she breathed. "That was intense. You're telling me." Declan loosened his tie slightly. When had it gotten so warm in here? "So, I guess we're doing this. The whole fake marriage weekend thing." Declan should say no. Should walk away right now. Should let his PR team handle the fallout from tonight. But he found himself saying, "We need ground rules." Vivian perked up. "Rules?" "Yes. I'm excellent at following rules." "I doubt that." "Okay. I'm terrible at following rules, but I'll try." "What are they?" Declan pulled out his phone. "I'm creating a document. We'll both sign it." "A document for a fake marriage?" "I don't do anything without a contract." "Of course you don't." She shook her head, but she was smiling. "What are the terms?" 1. This arrangement ends the moment we leave the Hamptons on Sunday. No extensions, no complications. Agreed. 2. We maintain the illusion convincingly. That means learning basic facts about each other, coordinating our stories, and acting like an actual couple. How hard can that be? You'd be surprised. 3. No real feelings. This is purely transactional. Something flickered across Vivian's face, but it was gone before Declan could identify it. "Obviously," she said. "You're not exactly my type anyway." Declan raised an eyebrow. "I'm everyone's type." "Wow, the ego on you." "It's not ego if it's true. It's definitely ego." but she was fighting a smile. Any other rules, Mr. Blackwell? 4. Whatever happens this weekend stays between us. No telling friends. No posting on social media. No turning this into some kind of story you tell at parties. I would never. 5. We split all expenses. I'm not paying for your weekend in the Hamptons. Vivian's eyes narrowed. I'm the reason you're going in the first place. Exactly. Your problem, your expenses. Fine, but I'm buying my own clothes. I don't need you playing pretty woman with me. I wasn't offering. Good. Great. They glared at each other. The tension crackled between them like static electricity. Then Vivian's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and groaned. What? Issa just sent me a link to a fashion blog. She turned the phone around. The headline read, Declan Blackwell secretly married exclusive photos from tonight's gala. Below it was a photo of their embrace, Declan's arms around Vivian, her face pressed against his chest, looking for all the world like a couple desperately in love. The photo was everywhere within minutes. Twitter, Instagram, every gossip site in Manhattan. Well, Vivian said weakly, I guess we're committed now. Declan's phone started ringing, his assistant, his PR director, his mother, especially his mother. I need to go do damage control, he said. Right. Of course. I should too. My roommate is probably freaking out. They stood there awkwardly for a moment. So, I'll see you Friday. Vivian offered. We should meet before then. Tomorrow, lunch. We need to get our story straight. Tomorrow's Sunday. I have brunch plans with my best friend. Cancel them. I can't just cancel. Then bring her. I'll bring my assistant. We need witnesses who can vouch for our relationship if anyone asks. Vivian opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. You're serious? I'm always serious. That must be exhausting. Tomorrow. Noon. I'll text you the address. Before she could argue, Declan turned and walked away. He made it 3 steps before Vivian called out. Declan. He stopped. Turned. Yes. Thanks for playing along tonight. You didn't have to. Something in her expression made his chest feel tight. Gratitude. Genuine, unguarded gratitude. When was the last time someone had thanked him for something that wasn't business-related? Don't thank me yet, he said. You haven't seen me in husband mode. Should I be scared? Probably. This time he did smile just a little. And from the way Vivian's eyes widened, she definitely noticed. Vivian made it home by some miracle, considering she'd been operating on autopilot the entire cab ride. Her tiny apartment in Brooklyn felt especially small after the grandeur of the plaza. She'd barely closed the door when her roommate Harper ambushed her. Vivian Elizabeth Reed. Uh-oh. Full name. That was never good. Hi, Harper. Nice to see you too. Harper held up her phone. The photo, of course. It was the photo. Care to explain why the internet thinks you're married to Declan freaking Blackwell? Vivian kicked off her heels and collapsed on the couch. That is a very long story. I have wine. You're going to need more wine. 20 minutes and 2 glasses later, Harper sat back with a stunned expression. So let me get this straight. You lied to Trevor, hugged a random billionaire, and now you're fake married and going to the Hamptons for the weekend. That's the summary, yes. Viv, this is insane even for you. I know. You're going to fall for him, aren't you? What? No. Absolutely not. Harper gave her the look, the one that said, I've known you since college, and I can read you like a book. Harper, the man is insufferable. He's arrogant, controlling, and made me sign a fake contract about our fake marriage. Did he actually make you sign it? Well, no, but he wanted to. Uh-huh. And when you hugged him, did you feel anything? Vivian thought about Declan's arms around her, the cedar scent, the solid warmth of his chest, the way her heart had done a little flip when he'd smiled. No, she lied. You're a terrible liar. I'm an excellent liar. I convinced everyone we were married. Everyone except me. Harper poured more wine. This is going to be a disaster. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm being realistic. You're going to spend a weekend pretending to be in love with a gorgeous, mysterious billionaire. There's no way this ends well. It'll be fine. We have rules. Rules never work in rom-coms. This isn't a rom-com. It's literally the plot of every fake dating rom-com ever made. Vivian groaned and buried her face in a throw pillow. I've made a terrible mistake. haven't I? Probably. But at least it'll be entertaining. You're coming to brunch tomorrow, by the way. Harper sat up straight. Why? Declan wants to get our story straight, and he's bringing his assistant. I take it back. This is going to be amazing. Vivian's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tomorrow. Noon. Balthazar. Don't be late. D. Balthazar, one of the most expensive restaurants in Soho. Of course. She showed Harper the text. He signs his texts with just D. That's so extra. Everything about him is extra. I can't wait to meet him. Neither could Vivian, actually, which was concerning. Very concerning. Because rule number 3 was no real feelings. And Vivian had the sinking suspicion that rule was going to be the hardest one to follow. Vivian arrived at Balthazar 15 minutes early. A personal record. She'd changed outfits 4 times. Finally settling on a navy wrap dress that Harper insisted made her look effortlessly elegant. Effortless. Her foot. She'd spent 45 minutes on her makeup. Harper linked arms with her as they approached the restaurant. Remember, you're madly in love with him. Married. Devoted. Not at all panicking. I'm not panicking. You've checked your phone 6 times in the last 2 minutes. I'm being punctual. You're being nervous. Before Vivian could respond, she spotted him. Declan stood outside the restaurant in charcoal slacks and a crisp white button-down sunglasses perched on his head, looking like he'd stepped out of a cologne advertisement. Next to him was a woman in her late 20s, sharply dressed in a black pantsuit, typing furiously on her phone. Declan saw them and straightened. For just a moment, his eyes swept over Vivian in a way that made her skin feel warm. Then his usual neutral expression returned. "You're early," he said. "You're earlier. I'm always early." "Of course you are." They stared at each other for a beat. The woman next to Declan cleared her throat pointedly. "Right." Declan gestured. "Vivian, this is Rochelle Martinez, my assistant. Rochelle, this is Vivian Reed, my wife." He stumbled slightly over the word wife. Vivian found it oddly endearing. Rochelle extended her hand, her expression carefully neutral. "It's nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Blackwell. Just Vivian is fine. And this is my roommate and best friend, Harper Chen." Harper was staring at Declan with barely concealed fascination. "So you're the guy who married my best friend in secret?" "Allegedly," Declan said. "The photos look pretty real to me," Harper replied. "Harper," Vivian hissed. "What?" "I'm just saying you two looked very convincing. The way he was holding you? That's some serious chemistry." Vivian wanted the sidewalk to open up and swallow her whole. Rochelle's lips twitched. "Shall we go inside before this gets more awkward?" "Excellent idea," Declan agreed quickly. The hostess seated them at a corner booth that provided both privacy and an excellent view of the restaurant. Declan immediately sat next to Vivian rather than across from her. "For appearances," he murmured. "Right. Appearances." His thigh pressed against hers under the table. Vivian tried to focus on the menu and not on how warm he felt. "So," Rochelle said, pulling out a tablet. "Let's go over the basics. How did you two meet?" "Charity event," Vivian said at the same time Declan said. "Mutual friend." They looked at each other. "We met at a charity event," Declan corrected smoothly, "through a mutual friend." "Which friend?" Harper asked, clearly enjoying this. "Does it matter?" Vivian asked. "It will if someone asks." Declan typed something on his phone. "I'm adding this to our document. We met at a children's hospital fundraiser 2 years ago. Our mutual friend was Catherine Ashford." "Wait, Issa's mother?" Vivian's eyes widened. "Exactly. Makes the connection more believable. Catherine Ashford serves on the board of several charities I donate to. You could have been there as a volunteer or guest." "That's actually clever," Harper admitted. "I'm occasionally clever," Declan said dryly. Rochelle made notes. "First date? Coffee," they said simultaneously. Vivian blinked. "You drink coffee constantly." I'm basically powered by caffeine. See? We have something in common. One thing. It's a start." The waiter arrived to take their orders. Declan ordered eggs, Benedict, and black coffee. Vivian ordered French toast and a latte. After the waiter left, Rochelle continued her interrogation. "Pet peeves about each other?" "He's too controlling," Vivian said immediately. "She's too impulsive," Declan countered. "He probably color codes his sock drawer." She probably loses her keys daily. I do not, Vivian stopped. Okay, I do, but only sometimes. I keep a spare set, Harper offered. She loses them approximately twice a week. Traitor, Vivian muttered. Declan looked far too smug. Mental note. Wife needs a key tracker. Mental note. Husband needs to relax. I'm perfectly relaxed. You're sitting with perfect posture and your jaw is clenched. My jaw is not. He stopped, realizing she was right. Fine. I'm slightly tense. Slightly. This is new territory for me. All right? I don't usually lie to people. Neither do I. Well, except for yesterday. But that was an emergency. An emergency? Declan repeated flatly. My ex-fiancé showing up with his perfect new girlfriend. Yes, emergency. You could have just walked away. Where's the drama in that? Despite himself, Declan felt his lips quirk. Your trouble. You have no idea. Across the table, Harper and Rochelle exchanged knowing looks. They're good, Harper whispered. Too good, Rochelle whispered back. This is going to be a problem. What are you two whispering about? Vivian asked. Nothing, they said in unison. Their food arrived, providing a welcome distraction. For a few minutes they ate in relative peace. Then Vivian noticed Declan staring at her French toast. What? That looks good. It is good. Can I try some? Vivian paused mid-bite. You want to try my French toast? Forget it. Before he could finish, Vivian cut a piece and held out her fork. Here. Declan stared at the fork, then at her. You're feeding me. We're married, remember? This is what married people do. Is it? I have no idea, but it seems romantic. Now eat it before I change my mind. Declan leaned forward and took the bite, his eyes never leaving hers. It was absurdly intimate for something so simple. Well? Vivian asked, her voice slightly breathless. It's good, he admitted. Better than my eggs, Benedict. Want to trade? Really? Sure. What's yours is mine, right? Something flickered in Declan's eyes. Without a word, he switched their plates. Harper kicked Vivian under the table. When Vivian looked over, Harper mouthed, Chemistry. Vivian kicked her back. All right, Rochelle said, consulting her tablet. Let's talk about the wedding when and where. Small ceremony, Declan said. Last month. Private venue. Where specifically? City Hall, Vivian suggested. I would never get married at City Hall. Why not? It's too public. Then where? Declan thought for a moment. My family has a private estate in Connecticut. We could say we had the ceremony there. Just immediate family. Do you actually have family? I have a mother and a younger sister. Your parents in California. Older brother in Seattle. Would they have attended the wedding? Definitely. Your family? My mother, yes. My sister was traveling in Europe at the time. Rochelle typed rapidly. This is good. Very believable. What about rings? Vivian looked down at her bare left hand. Right. Rings. Declan was already reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. Everyone at the table froze. You brought a ring? Vivian's voice came out as a squeak. It's from my grandmother, Declan said, opening the box. Inside was a stunning vintage diamond ring, elegant and understated. I had it resized this morning. You had it resized? How did you know my size? I guessed size 6. 6.5. Close enough. Try it on. Vivian's hand shook slightly as she reached for the ring. It slid on perfectly, catching the light and sparkling on her finger. It felt heavier than she expected. More real. It's beautiful, she whispered. It was my grandmother's engagement ring. She left it to me when she passed. Declan, I can't wear your grandmother's ring. What if I lose it? You won't. You just said I lose everything. You won't lose this. His voice was firm. It's insured, and it's the most believable option. No one questions a family heirloom. He was right. But that didn't make Vivian feel less guilty about wearing something so meaningful. What about your ring? Harper asked. Declan pulled out a simple platinum band and slipped it on his left ring finger with practiced ease like he'd done it 100 times before, which made Vivian wonder if he had done it before. There was someone in his past who never married, Declan said quietly, as if reading her thoughts. Never even close. This is new for me too. Their eyes met and held. The restaurant noise faded into white static. "Anyway," Rochelle said loudly, breaking the moment. "Let's discuss sleeping arrangements for the Hamptons." "Sleeping arrangements?" Vivian repeated. "You're married. They'll expect you to share a room." "Share a no. Absolutely not. It's one weekend," Declan pointed out. "One weekend of sleeping in the same bed as a stranger. I'm not a stranger. I'm your husband. Fake husband. The bed will be big. I'll stay on my side. What if you snore?" "I don't snore." "How do you know?" "Because I've been told by never mind." Vivian's eyebrows shot up. "By who?" "That's not relevant to this conversation." "Oh, it's definitely relevant. How many women have you—" "We're getting off topic." Declan interrupted, his ears slightly red. Was he blushing? The great Declan Blackwell was actually blushing. Vivian filed that information away for later. "Fine," she said. "We'll share a room. But I get the left side of the bed. I sleep on the left side." "So do I." "We can't both sleep on the left side." "Then you take the right side." "I've slept on the left side my entire life." "So have I." Harper started laughing. "You two are ridiculous." "We're not ridiculous," Vivian protested. "You're arguing about bedsides like an actual married couple." Vivian and Declan looked at each other, then quickly looked away. "I'll take the right side," Declan conceded. "Really? Really? But I'm not happy about it." "Noted." Rochelle checked something off her list. "What about PDA?" "PDA?" they said in unison. "Public displays of affection. You're newlyweds. People will expect hand-holding, casual touches, maybe a kiss here and there." The temperature at the table seemed to rise by several degrees. "Define here and there," Vivian said weakly. "Whenever it feels natural. Nothing over the top, just enough to sell the relationship." "I can do that," Declan said, his voice carefully neutral. "Me too. Totally. No problem." Under the table, Declan's hand found hers. His fingers laced through hers slowly, deliberately. "Like this?" he murmured. Vivian's breath caught. His hand was warm and calloused in surprising places, strong but gentle. "Yeah," she managed. Just like that. They sat there, hands intertwined, neither pulling away. Across the table, Harper pulled out her phone and typed something. Rochelle's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smirked. "What?" Declan asked. "Nothing," Rochelle said innocently. "Just making notes." "What kind of notes?" "The I told you so kind." Before Declan could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and grimaced. "My mother. I need to take this." He stood but didn't let go of Vivian's hand immediately. For a moment he just looked at her, his expression unreadable. Then he squeezed her fingers once and walked outside to take the call. The second he was gone, Harper pounced. "Okay. What was that?" "What was what?" "The hand-holding, the eye contact, the sharing food. You two have insane chemistry." "We do not." "You absolutely do," Rochelle agreed. "And it's going to make this weekend either very easy or very complicated." "Complicated how?" "Because one or both of you is going to catch feelings." "No way. We have rules. Rule number 3 is literally, no real feelings." Harper and Rochelle exchanged another look. "What is with you two?" Vivian demanded. "Nothing," Harper said sweetly. "Just that rules are meant to be broken." "Not these rules." Famous last words. Through the window, Vivian could see Declan on the phone, running a hand through his hair in frustration. Even annoyed, he was unfairly attractive. This was going to be a very long weekend. Outside, Declan held the phone away from his ear as his mother's voice reached glass-shattering decibels. "Married? Declan Augustus Blackwell, you got married without telling me?" "Mother, if you just listen." "I'm your mother. I should have been there. I should have met her first." "What kind of son?" "It was very sudden." "Sudden? Pregnancy is sudden. Vegas is sudden. Secret marriages are." "She's not pregnant." "Then why the secrecy?" "Because it's fake," Declan thought. "Because I got roped into an elaborate lie and now I'm in too deep to back out." "We wanted something private," he said instead. "Private is 20 people. Private is family only. Private is not 0 people." "Declan." "You're right. I apologize. It won't happen again. It better not." "When am I meeting this Vivian person?" "Soon." "How soon?" "Very soon." Declan, I have to go, Mother. We'll talk later. He hung up before she could protest, then leaned against the brick wall and closed his eyes. What was he doing? He'd built his entire life on control, on carefully calculated decisions. He didn't do spontaneous. He didn't do chaotic. He definitely didn't do fake marriages to impulsive women who made him laugh despite himself. But when Vivian had whispered in his ear last night, desperation clear in her voice, something in him had shifted. He'd wanted to help her, wanted to protect her from the man who'd hurt her. And now, sitting across from her at brunch, watching her laugh and argue and share her French toast, he liked her. Which was a problem. A big problem. Because rule number 3 existed for a reason. No real feelings meant no complications, no mess, no risk. But when he'd held Vivian's hand under the table, feeling her pulse flutter against his palm, Declan had realized something terrifying. It might already be too late. He pushed off the wall and headed back inside. Vivian was laughing at something Harper said, her whole face lit up with joy. She glanced up when he approached, and her smile softened into something gentler, more intimate. Everything okay? My mother wants to meet you. Oh, that's wow. We can put her off until after the Hamptons. Or we could just tell her the truth. Declan slid back into the booth next to her. And say what? Sorry, Mother. I lied about being married to help a stranger fool her ex. When you put it like that. His phone buzzed again. A text from his sister, Penelope. Oh my God, you got married? Mom is losing it. Send photo of wife immediately. Also, how dare you not invite me? Declan showed Vivian the text. She winced. Your family really cares. Unfortunately, that's not unfortunate. It's sweet. It's complicated. Family usually is. Something in her tone made him look at her more closely. Are you close with your family? Not really. My parents are… Let's just say they had opinions about Trevor. They'll probably have opinions about you too. Should I be worried? My dad's a lawyer. He'll probably try to give you the 3rd degree. I can handle lawyers. Not my dad. He's terrifying. I look forward to meeting him. You say that now. Declan's phone buzzed again and again, and again. Your family's persistent, Vivian observed. They're overwhelming. But there was affection in his voice. Rochelle cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt, but we should probably discuss wardrobe for the weekend. Wardrobe? Vivian groaned. Do I need to buy new clothes? Black tie events require formal wear, Rochelle said diplomatically. I don't own anything black tie appropriate. I'll take care of it, Declan said. We talked about this. I don't need you buying me clothes. You need appropriate attire for the weekend. Consider it a business expense. This isn't a business. Fine, consider it a loan. You can return everything Sunday night. Vivian opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Fine, but nothing too expensive. Declan and Rochelle exchanged a look. What? Nothing, Declan said innocently. Rochelle will send you some options this afternoon. Options that aren't too expensive, relatively speaking. Declan. Vivian. He turned to face her fully. You're doing me a favor by going through with this. Let me do this one thing. Please. The please did it. Vivian sighed in defeat. Fine, but nothing crazy. Define crazy. Over $1,000. Declan's expression didn't change, but Rochelle coughed into her napkin. What? Vivian looked between them. What did I say? Nothing, Declan said quickly. $1,000. Understood. He was definitely lying, but Vivian decided to let it go. Pick your battles, as Harper always said. They spent the next hour going over more details, favorite foods, movie preferences, pet peeves, the kind of minutiae actual couples knew about each other. By the time they finished, Vivian's head was spinning with information. One more thing, Rochelle said. Cell phones. You should have each other as favorites. Married couples text constantly. We do, Vivian and Declan said simultaneously. Yes, starting now. You should text each other at least twice a day. About what? Whatever married people text about. How's your day? Miss you? That sort of thing. Vivian tried to imagine Declan texting miss you and failed spectacularly. I can do that, Declan said. Really? I'm adaptable. You're something. All right. He smiled, a real smile this time. Not the corporate one. It transformed his entire face, softening the sharp edges. Vivian's stomach did a little flip. Rule number 3, she reminded herself. No real feelings. But her stomach apparently hadn't gotten the memo. When they finally left the restaurant, Declan walked Vivian and Harper to the curb. A sleek black car was already waiting. "That's for you," Declan said. "My driver will take you home." "You have a driver?" "I have several." "Of course you do." Harper climbed into the car, giving them a moment of privacy. Vivian looked up at Declan, suddenly nervous. "So, I guess I'll see you Friday." "Friday," he paused. "Unless you want to meet before then to practice." "Practice what?" "Being married." Her heart rate picked up. "Is that necessary?" "Probably not. But it might help us feel more comfortable around each other." "We could do that." "Dinner Wednesday night?" "Like a date?" "Like practice," Declan corrected. But his eyes held hers with an intensity that felt distinctly date-like. "Okay. Wednesday. It's a date. I mean practice date. Practice session thing. Smooth. Vivian. Real smooth." Declan's smile widened. "I'll text you the details." "Right. Because married couples text constantly." "Exactly." He stepped closer, and for one wild second Vivian thought he might kiss her. Instead, he brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her cheek. "See you Wednesday, wife." Then he turned and walked away, leaving Vivian standing on the sidewalk with her heart pounding and her cheek tingling where he'd touched her. She climbed into the car in a daze. Harper was grinning like a lunatic. "Don't," Vivian warned. "I didn't say anything. You're thinking it." "Oh. I'm definitely thinking it." Harper pulled out her phone. "So what should I wear to your real wedding? Because we all know where this is heading." "There's not going to be a real wedding." "Sure, hon." "Sure." Vivian looked down at the ring on her finger, Declan's grandmother's ring. It caught the light, sparkling with promise. This was supposed to be fake. So why did it feel so real? Vivian changed outfits 6 times before settling on a burgundy wrap dress that Harper insisted made her look date-worthy but not trying too hard. "It's not a date," Vivian protested for the 100th time. "You've curled your hair. You never curl your hair unless it's important. This is important. We need to be convincing for the Hamptons, right?" Harper grinned. "That's definitely the only reason you're wearing perfume." Vivian threw a pillow at her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Declan. "Car outside. No rush." He'd been texting her constantly since Sunday, nothing profound, just "good morning, how's work," or a link to an article about coffee consumption in America. It was weirdly charming and slightly addictive. Vivian grabbed her purse and headed downstairs. A different car this time, a sleek silver sedan. The driver opened the door, and her breath caught. Declan sat in the back seat in dark jeans and a navy sweater that made his gray eyes even more striking. He looked up from his phone and smiled. That smile should be illegal. "Hi," Vivian said, sliding in beside him. "Hi." His eyes swept over her appreciatively. "You look beautiful." "Oh, thank you." "You look not terrible." "Smooth, Vivian. Real smooth." Declan's smile widened. "Not terrible. I'll take it." The car pulled away from the curb. Vivian became hyper-aware of the small space between them, the way his cologne filled the air, how his knee was inches from hers. "So, where are we going?" "You'll see. Mysterious. I have my moments." They drove through Manhattan, heading uptown. Vivian watched the city lights blur past, trying to calm her racing heart. This was practice. Just practice. "Keep telling yourself that," her brain whispered unhelpfully. "How was your day?" Declan asked, his voice pulling her from her thoughts. "Chaotic. My boss is demanding. My coworkers think I'm secretly married to a billionaire, which I guess I technically am, and I spent my lunch break Googling how to act rich." Declan laughed. Actually laughed. "Did you find anything useful?" "Apparently I should say things like summer as a verb and complain about my yacht's maintenance costs." "Do you have a yacht?" "I can barely afford my subway pass." "Well, I have a yacht. You can complain about its maintenance costs if you'd like." "You actually have a yacht?" "2. Technically. 1 in the Mediterranean. 1 in the Caribbean." Vivian stared at him. "That's insane. That's business. I entertain clients on yachts." "On yachts?" "Your life is weird," she said. "Says the woman pretending to be my wife." "Fair point." The car stopped in front of a building Vivian didn't recognize. Elegant, understated, with no signage. Where are we? A private dining club. I thought we'd avoid anywhere too public tonight. He helped her out of the car, his hand warm on hers. They were buzzed in immediately, led through a hushed corridor to a private room with a single table set for two. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Central Park. Candles flickered on the table. Soft music played in the background. It was possibly the most romantic setting Vivian had ever seen. This is... Wow. Too much? No, it's perfect. But isn't this a little fancy for practice? Declan pulled out her chair. I don't do anything halfway. As Vivian sat, she noticed something on the table, a small jewelry box. What's that? Your wardrobe for the weekend. Rochelle selected some options. He paused. And I got you something else. He pushed the small box toward her. Vivian opened it carefully. Inside were delicate diamond earrings, elegant and understated, perfectly matching the engagement ring. Declan, I can't. They were my grandmother's too. They go with the ring. You'll need them for the party. This is too much. It's insurance. The Kensington crowd will notice every detail. These sell the story. He was right. But Vivian still felt overwhelmed. 3 days ago she was single and relatively uncomplicated. Now she was wearing a dead woman's jewelry and preparing to lie to an entire estate full of people. Hey. Declan's hand covered hers. You okay? Just processing. This got really big, really fast. We can still back out. I'll handle Trevor and Isa. Make up an excuse. No, I want to do this. She looked up at him. Why do you want to do this? You barely know me. This could damage your reputation. Declan was quiet for a moment, his thumb absently stroking her knuckles. Because when you asked for help, you looked terrified. And I know what it's like to feel trapped by other people's expectations. He met her eyes. Plus, Trevor's an idiot who didn't deserve you. Someone should remind him of that. Vivian's heart did a somersault. That's really sweet. Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to maintain. Your secret's safe with me. A server appeared with champagne and menus. As they ordered, Vivian chose the Chilean sea bass. Declan went with steak. She found herself relaxing. This felt easy. Natural. Dangerous. So, Declan said once they were alone again, tell me something real. Not backstory. Not for the Hamptons. Just you. Like what? Anything. What do you do when you're not pretending to be married to brooding billionaires? Vivian laughed. I'm a graphic designer at a small agency, mostly corporate branding, some freelance work on the side. It's not glamorous, but I love it. What do you love about it? Creating something from nothing. Taking someone's vague idea and making it real. Visual. She paused. What about you? Do you actually enjoy running an empire? Most days it's challenging, high stakes. But sometimes, he trailed off. Sometimes? Sometimes it's lonely. The admission hung in the air between them, vulnerable, real. I get that, Vivian said softly. After Trevor left, I threw myself into work. Easier than dealing with people asking if I was okay. Were you okay? Eventually. It took a while to realize it wasn't about me. He was just scared. Commitment phobic. Classic story. His loss. The way Declan said it, firm, certain, made Vivian believe it. Their food arrived, and conversation flowed easily. They discovered they both loved terrible reality TV, both hated mushrooms, and both had recurring nightmares about showing up to important events unprepared. I have this dream where I'm giving a presentation, Declan admitted, and I look down and I'm in my underwear. Everyone has that dream, but in mine I just keep presenting like, yes, these are the quarterly numbers, and yes, I'm wearing cartoon boxers. Moving on. Vivian nearly choked on her wine. Cartoon boxers with little robots on them? Please tell me you don't actually own those. My sister gave them to me as a joke. I may have worn them once. Declan Blackwell and robot boxers. The internet would explode, which is why we're never speaking of this again. Too late. This information is gold. He pointed his fork at her. I will deny everything. Coward. Strategic. They were laughing when Vivian's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and froze. A text from an unknown number with a photo attached from tonight. Her and Declan getting into the car. Someone had been watching. Below the photo. Cute couple. Would be a shame if people found out it's fake. Call me. Vivian's blood went cold. What's wrong? Declan noticed immediately. She showed him the phone. His expression hardened instantly, the easy warmth vanishing. When did this come in? Just now. He pulled out his own phone, typed something rapidly. Within seconds his phone rang. Trace this number, he said without preamble. Yes, now. I don't care what time it is. He rattled off the number. And I want security footage from my building for the past 3 hours. Someone's been following us. He hung up and looked at Vivian. It's handled. Handled? Someone's threatening us? Probably a tabloid journalist looking for a story. This happens. To you, maybe. I've never been blackmailed before. Technically, they haven't asked for anything yet. They said to call them, which we won't do. My security team will identify them, and my lawyers will remind them about harassment laws. Vivian stared at him. You have a security team? Of course. Don't you? I have a deadbolt and pepper spray. Despite the tension, Declan's mouth twitched. We're adding personal security to your list of weekend amenities. This is insane. Maybe we should just tell the truth. Say it was a misunderstanding, and let Trevor win. Let some photographer dictate your choices? It's not about winning, isn't it? Declan leaned forward. You wanted to show Trevor you'd moved on. You wanted one weekend where you weren't the girl he left at the altar. We can still give you that. He was right. Darn him, he was right. What if they release the photos anyway? Then we deal with it together. That word together settled something in Vivian's chest. Okay, she said finally. We stick to the plan. Good. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. The number is a burner phone, untraceable. Great. A professional stalker. Or someone who knows what they're doing. His eyes narrowed. Did you tell anyone besides Harper? No. You? Just Rochelle. He was quiet for a moment. What about Trevor? Could he have figured it out? Trevor's not that smart. Someone is. The rest of dinner was subdued. They tried to recapture the earlier lightness, but the text had poisoned the mood. By the time dessert arrived, chocolate lava cake they half-heartedly shared, Vivian just wanted to go home and process. In the car, Declan was unusually quiet. Hey, Vivian said softly. This isn't your fault. I should have anticipated this. How? You're not psychic. I'm usually more careful. I shouldn't have suggested dinner somewhere we could be photographed. We were getting into a car. That could happen anywhere. He didn't respond, jaw tight. Vivian did something impulsive. She reached over and took his hand. His fingers immediately laced through hers, holding tight. We'll figure this out, she said. You're very optimistic for someone being blackmailed. I prefer delusionally positive. That got a small smile from him. When they reached her apartment, Declan walked her to the door despite her protests. You don't have to. I want to. They stood in the hallway, neither moving. The air between them felt charged. Thank you for dinner, Vivian said. Even with the blackmail, it was nice. Nice. High praise. I meant it was really nice. Before the creepy text, I was having a great time. Me too. He stepped closer, close enough that Vivian could see the flecks of blue in his gray eyes, close enough that she could feel his warmth. Vivian, he said quietly, I need to tell you something. What? This is getting complicated. I know. No, I mean, he ran a hand through his hair. When I agreed to this, I thought it would be simple. Play pretend for a weekend. Go our separate ways. But I'm what? Different than I expected. Vivian's heart hammered. Different good or different bad? Good. Dangerously good. They stared at each other. Vivian's breath caught as Declan's hand came up to cup her cheek. We have rules, she whispered. Terrible rules. Your rules. Worst decision I ever made. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. Vivian didn't move. Couldn't move. Didn't want to move. His lips were an inch from hers when a door down the hall crashed open. Vivian. They jumped apart like teenagers caught by parents. Harper stood in the doorway, phone in hand, looking frantic. You need to see this now. What's wrong? The photos. They're not just threatening to release them. Harper's face was pale. They already did. You're viral again. Vivian's stomach dropped. Show me. Harper held up her phone. Twitter was exploding. Instagram was on fire. Every gossip site in New York had the same headline. Trouble in Paradise? Declan Blackwell and secret wife, caught in intense argument. Below it was a photo from tonight taken through the restaurant window. Vivian and Declan looking serious, her showing him her phone with the threatening text. To anyone watching, it looked like a fight. The caption was worse. Sources say the newlyweds' whirlwind romance may already be on the rocks. Is this marriage over before it began? Oh no, Vivian breathed. Declan's phone started ringing, then ringing again and again. My mother, he said grimly. My sister. My PR team. The board of directors. He looked at Vivian. This just got a lot more complicated. What do we do? Declan's jaw set with determination. We go to the Hamptons. We act like the happiest newlyweds in history, and we make whoever did this regret ever targeting us. That's your plan? Double down? Do you have a better one? Vivian looked at the photos at the comments, already speculating about divorce, infidelity, gold digging. This had spiraled so far beyond a simple lie to Trevor. But as she looked at Declan, his jaw tight, eyes fierce, standing beside her, ready to face the storm, she realized something. She didn't want to back out. She wanted to fight. When do we leave for the Hamptons? She asked. Declan smiled, sharp and determined. Friday morning. He paused. And Vivian? Yeah? We're going to need to be very convincing. How convincing? He stepped closer, his voice dropping low. The kind of convincing that leaves no doubt we're madly in love. Vivian's pulse raced. I think I can manage that. Good. His fingers brushed her cheek. Because I'm done pretending this is just pretend. And with that bombshell, he turned and walked away, leaving Vivian standing in the hallway with her heart racing and her mind spinning. Harper pulled her inside and closed the door. Okay, Harper said. What the heck just happened? Vivian touched her cheek where Declan's fingers had been. I think, she said slowly, I'm in trouble. Good trouble or bad trouble? I have no idea. But as she looked at the ring sparkling on her finger and remembered the way Declan had looked at her like she was something precious, Vivian suspected it was probably both. Across town, Declan sat in his penthouse, ignoring the 17 missed calls from his mother and staring at the photos splashed across every screen. Someone was playing games. Someone who knew too much. And someone who was about to learn that Declan Blackwell didn't lose. His phone rang again. This time he answered. Rochelle, I need everything you can find on Trevor Whitmore and Isa Kensington, financial records, social connections, past relationships, everything. You think one of them is behind this? I think someone wants this marriage to fail. And I want to know who before we walk into the Hamptons. On it, boss. Yeah. Are you sure about this? The deeper you go, the harder it'll be to walk away. Declan looked at his phone at a photo someone had texted him. Vivian laughing at dinner, her whole face lit up with joy. I'm sure, he said quietly, because somewhere between the fake marriage and the blackmail threats, something had shifted. This wasn't about helping a stranger anymore. This was about protecting someone who'd become surprisingly important. And Declan protected what was his even if she didn't know she was his yet. Vivian had seen money before. She'd been to nice restaurants, upscale hotels, even a penthouse once for a work event. But the Kensington estate made all of that look like a garage sale. The main house was a sprawling white mansion that could probably fit her entire apartment building inside it twice. Manicured gardens stretched toward private beaches, a tennis court, a pool that looked bigger than a public park. And was that a helipad? That's a helipad, Vivian said faintly. Declan glanced up from his phone. They were in the back of his car, a different one, because apparently he had a fleet driving up the mile-long driveway. Most estates this size have them. Most estates this size shouldn't exist. You're not nervous, are you? Terrified. Absolutely terrified. He set his phone down and took her hand. Hey, look at me. Vivian turned. He looked unfairly calm in his perfectly tailored blazer and dark jeans. She'd been stressing about her outfit for the entire 2-hour drive. You belong here just as much as anyone else, Declan said firmly. You're smart, talented, and you're with me. That's all that matters. Easy for you to say. You probably grew up in a place like this. Actually, I grew up in a 3-bedroom house in Connecticut. My father was a public school teacher. My mother was a nurse. His thumb stroked her knuckles. Money came later. The important part's who you are, What you value, that's what counts. Vivian blinked. I didn't know that. Most people don't. I don't advertise it. Why not? Because some people only see the money. I prefer to know who actually sees me. The weight of that admission settled between them. Vivian squeezed his hand. I see you. His eyes met hers, intense and searching. I know. The car stopped. Showtime. A uniformed staff member opened Vivian's door. She stepped out onto gravel that probably cost more per square foot than her rent. Declan came around and immediately slipped his arm around her waist. The touch felt natural now. Right. Dangerous thought. Focus. Vivian. Vivian. Declan. Issa appeared on the front steps in a flowing white sundress, looking like she'd stepped out of a resort catalog. Trevor followed, slightly less enthusiastic but smiling. You made it. Issa rushed down and air-kissed both their cheeks. We were worried after those awful photos. Such an invasion of privacy. We're fine, Declan said smoothly. Just a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. The media is so cruel. Trevor agreed, shaking Declan's hand. Viv, you look great. Declan's arm tightened fractionally around Vivian's waist. She felt him tense. Vivian, she corrected gently. And thank you. The estate is beautiful, Issa. Oh, this is just the main house. Wait until you see the guest cottages. We have 12 of them. 12 guest cottages. Vivian tried not to visibly panic. We put you in the Rose Cottage, Issa continued, linking arms with Vivian and pulling her toward the house. It's the most romantic one, ocean views. Private hot tub. Separate sitting room. As Issa chattered, Vivian glanced back at Declan. He was walking with Trevor, clearly being subjected to some kind of business conversation. He caught her eye and winked. Her stomach flipped. The inside of the main house was even more intimidating. Marble, everything. Chandeliers that could double as small cars. Art that looked like it belonged in museums. The cocktail reception starts at 6, Issa explained, as they walked through what she called the East Corridor, like it was totally normal to have directional corridors. Very casual. Then dinner at 8. Tomorrow's the big party. And Sunday we'll have a farewell brunch. Sounds perfect, Vivian managed. Oh, and I should mention my mother is here. Vivian's blood pressure spiked. Catherine Ashford. You know her. We, met at a charity event briefly. That was the story. Anyway, in reality, Vivian had never met the woman, but according to their fake backstory, Catherine had introduced her to Declan. This weekend just got significantly more complicated. Mother will be thrilled to see you both, Issa beamed. She's been telling everyone about how she knew you two were perfect for each other from day one. Has she? Vivian's voice came out slightly strangled. Oh yes. She's quite proud of her matchmaking skills. Behind them, Declan caught up. Did I hear Catherine's here? You sound concerned, Trevor observed. Catherine can be intense. She adores you, Declan. Calls you her favorite success story. Declan and Vivian exchanged panicked looks. This was not good. If Catherine started asking detailed questions about how they met, their whole story could unravel. They reached the Rose Cottage, which was less a cottage and more a small luxury house, and Issa finally left them alone to freshen up. The second the door closed, Vivian whirled on Declan. Catherine Ashford is claiming she introduced us. I heard. What do? We go along with it. If Catherine's already telling people she introduced us, contradicting her would raise more questions. But what if she asks about details we don't know? Then we improvise. He pulled out his phone. I'm texting Rochelle. She can dig up information about Catherine's charity events from 2 years ago. We'll pick one and memorize the details. This is getting so complicated. I know. He stepped closer, his hands coming to rest on her shoulders. But we've got this. We're a team, remember? A team? When had they become a team? Probably somewhere between the blackmail and the almost kiss. Vivian nodded. Okay, team, right? Good. Now we should probably explore our temporary home. The cottage was stunning. Whitewashed walls, beachy decor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The sitting room had plush couches and a fireplace. The bathroom had a shower that could fit 6 people and heated floors. And then there was the bedroom. One bed. King-sized. But still, one bed. They both stared at it. So, Vivian said, that's happening. It's big. We'll barely notice each other. Right. Barely notice. Neither of them moved. I can take the couch, Declan offered. The staff will think that's weird. True. We're adults. We can share a bed platonically. Absolutely. Very platonic. Super platonic. They were still staring at the bed. Vivian's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. Harper, of course. How's the palace? Have you jumped him yet? Vivian typed back. It's not a palace. And no. But you want to. Goodbye, Harper. Use protection. Vivian shoved her phone in her pocket, face burning. Everything okay? Declan asked. Harper being Harper. Ah. Rochelle sent me 3 thumbs-up emojis and a fire emoji, so I understand. Our friends are the worst, or the best, depending on your perspective. Their luggage arrived Vivian's modest suitcase, looking pitiful next to Declan's designer bags, and they unpacked in companionable silence. Well, mostly silence. Vivian kept sneaking glances at Declan as he moved around the space. He'd taken off his blazer, rolled up his sleeves. She could see the muscles in his forearms as he hung up shirts. This was going to be a long weekend. I'm going to shower, Vivian announced, grabbing clothes and fleeing to the bathroom. She took her time, letting the hot water calm her nerves. By the time she emerged, casual sundress, light makeup, hair down, she felt more centered. Until she walked into the bedroom and found Declan fresh from his own shower, hair damp, wearing only dress pants and a partially buttoned shirt. He looked up and froze. His eyes swept over her slowly. You look beautiful. Vivian's mouth went dry. Thanks. You look not terrible. She really needed to stop using that phrase. Declan smiled and finished buttoning his shirt. Vivian tried not to feel disappointed about that. Ready to face the masses? As ready as I'll ever be. He held out his hand. Vivian took it, and they headed to the cocktail reception. The party was on the back terrace overlooking the ocean. About 40 people mingled, all dressed in that effortless, expensive casual way that probably required stylists. Vivian felt every eye turn toward them as they appeared. Declan's hand tightened on hers. Smile and follow my lead, he murmured. They descended the steps to immediate attention. Declan, darling. An older woman in an elegant cream suit materialized. She had Issa's bone structure and Trevor's sharp eyes. Catherine Ashford. Catherine. Declan kissed her cheek smoothly. You look stunning as always. Flatterer. But she was pleased. Her eyes shifted to Vivian. And this must be the famous Vivian. I've heard so much about you. All good things, I hope, Vivian said, shaking her hand. The best things. Catherine beamed. I'm so proud that I brought you two together. The moment I saw you at the Children's Hospital Gala, I knew. I told Declan, that's the one. Vivian's heart raced. Children's Hospital Gala. Okay, work with that. I remember, Vivian said, trying to sound nostalgic. I was so nervous that night. You were volunteering for the silent auction, weren't you? Catherine asked. Silent auction? Good to know. Yes, it was my first time helping with an event that large. And Declan couldn't keep his eyes off you. Catherine patted his arm. I've never seen him so smitten. Declan slipped his arm around Vivian's waist. Hard not to be. She was the most interesting person in the room. He said it so sincerely that Vivian almost believed he meant it. Almost. And now you're married. I'm still hurt I wasn't invited to the wedding. It was very small, Declan said. Family only. We wanted something intimate. Well, I suppose I can forgive you. Catherine smiled. But you must tell me everything. How did he propose? Vivian and Declan looked at each other. They hadn't discussed this. It was Vivian started. Simple, Declan finished. We were at home. No grand gestures. Just us. How romantic. Catherine sighed. He made breakfast, Vivian added, improvising. French toast, my favorite. Declan's eyes warmed. And I burned it because I was so nervous. But it was perfect anyway. Vivian smiled up at him, and suddenly she wasn't acting anymore. She was just there in the moment with him. Catherine dabbed at her eyes. You two are adorable. I'm claiming full credit for this match. More people approached, names blurred together. Congratulations. Questions. Vivian smiled until her face hurt, but Declan never left her side. His hand stayed on her lower back, warm and steady. When someone asked an uncomfortable question, he deflected smoothly. When she fumbled a name, he covered for her. They moved through the party like a real couple, easy, natural, connected. It was terrifyingly believable. "You're good at this," Vivian murmured when they had a moment alone by the bar. "So are you. I think Catherine actually believes we're in love." "Good. That's the goal." But something in his expression made Vivian wonder if it was all acting for him. "Vivian." She turned. Trevor was approaching with 2 champagne flutes. "Thought you might want a refill." "Oh, thanks." Declan materialized at her elbow. "Trevor." "Declan. Mind if I borrow your wife for a moment?" "I'd love to catch up." Every muscle in Declan's body went tense. Vivian could feel it. "Actually," he started. "It's fine," Vivian said quickly, touching his arm. "Just for a minute." She needed to prove she could handle Trevor, that she'd moved on even if her stomach was churning. Declan's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "I'll be right over there if you need me." The possessiveness in his voice sent a shiver down Vivian's spine. Trevor led her toward the edge of the terrace, away from the crowd. The ocean stretched before them, dark and endless. "So," Trevor said, "married." "Yep. Kind of sudden, wasn't it? When you know, right?" He sipped his champagne. "I have to admit I was surprised. Declan Blackwell doesn't seem like your type." "What's my type, Trevor?" "I don't know. Someone more normal." Vivian bristled. "He is normal. He's a billionaire, Vivian. His normal isn't most people's normal." "Is there a point to this conversation?" Trevor turned to face her fully. "I just want to make sure you're okay. That you're not rushing into something because of us." "Because of us?" "Trevor, there is no us. There hasn't been for 3 years." "I know. And I'm sorry about how things ended. I was young and stupid and scared. You left me at the altar via text message. I know it was awful. I've regretted it every day since." Vivian stared at him. Was he serious? "You seem pretty happy with Isa." "I am. She's great. But sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't run, if I'd been brave enough to go through with it." "Well, we'll never know. I'm married now. Happily married." "Are you?" Those photos from earlier this week looked pretty tense. Vivian's stomach dropped. That was a misunderstanding. The media twisted everything. "If you say so." He stepped closer, too close. "But if you ever need anything, someone to talk to, a friend, I'm here." "I don't need anything from you, Trevor." A throat cleared behind them. Declan stood there, eyes flinty. "Sorry to interrupt, but they're starting dinner." "Vivian? Darling, shall we?" The darling was ice cold. Vivian went to him immediately, slipping her hand into his. His fingers closed around hers almost painfully tight. "See you inside, Trevor," Declan said pleasantly. But there was nothing pleasant about the look in his eyes. They walked back toward the house in tense silence. Once they were out of earshot, Declan spoke. "What did he want?" "To catch up, and apparently to tell me he regrets leaving me." Declan stopped walking. "He what?" "Yeah. 3 years later, suddenly he has regrets. Well, he's engaged to someone else. Apparently that's—" Declan bit off whatever he was going to say. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." More annoyed than anything, and kind of satisfied, actually. "Satisfied?" "He left me because he was scared of commitment. Now he's watching me, supposedly happy with someone else, and he's second-guessing everything. There's a certain poetic justice to that." Declan studied her face. "You're not still in love with him?" "Not even a little bit. Seeing him now, I mostly feel nothing, and maybe a bit sorry for Isa." Something in Declan's expression shifted, softened. "Good," he said quietly. "Because you deserve better than someone who doesn't know how lucky he is." Vivian's breath caught. "Declan, we should go inside. People will wonder where we are." But he didn't move. Neither did she. They stood in the shadow of the house, the party noise a distant hum, the ocean wind cool on Vivian's skin. "Thank you," Vivian said softly, "for coming over when you did. For this whole weekend. For everything. You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. You've been—" She trailed off, searching for the right word. "Amazing. And I know this is all fake, but what if it's not?" Vivian's heart stopped. "What?" Declan stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. "What if I don't want this to be fake anymore? We have rules. Forget the rules. Your rules. The worst rules I ever made." His thumb brushed her bottom lip. "Vivian, there you are." They jumped apart as Isa appeared around the corner. Sorry to interrupt. She didn't look sorry at all. But dinner's starting. And Mother insists on seating charts. You're at the head table with us. Vivian wanted to scream. Declan's expression had gone carefully neutral again. Of course. We were just getting some air, Vivian finished. The party's a bit overwhelming. Well, come on. You'll love the menu. The chef is from Pearl. As they followed Isa back inside, Declan caught Vivian's hand. She looked at him, and he mouthed. Later. Vivian nodded, her heart pounding. Because Declan Blackwell had just admitted he didn't want their fake marriage to be fake anymore. And heaven help her, neither did she. Dinner was a 12-course affair that felt like it lasted 3 years. Vivian sat between Declan and some hedge fund manager who kept trying to explain cryptocurrency. Across the table, Trevor watched them with an intensity that made her skin crawl. Declan noticed too. His hand found hers under the table fingers, lacing through hers in silent support. You okay? He murmured. During the 7th course, some kind of foam that was apparently cutting-edge cuisine. Define okay. Not plotting murder, then? No, not okay. His thumb stroked her palm. We can leave after dinner if you want. And miss the chance to see Trevor squirm? Not happening. Declan smiled. That's my girl. My girl. The casual possessiveness sent warmth flooding through her. After dinner, people moved to the ballroom because of course there was a ballroom for dancing and more champagne. A live band played jazz standards while guests mingled. Vivian was admiring an actual Monet on the wall when Declan appeared at her elbow with 2 champagne flutes. Dance with me? I should warn you I'm not very good. Lucky for you, I am. He set down the glasses and led her to the dance floor. His hand settled on her waist, warm and sure. She rested her hand on his shoulder, and they began to move. He was right, he was good. He led confidently, but gently, making her look far more graceful than she actually was. Where did you learn to dance like this? She asked. My mother insisted. Said every gentleman should know how to properly dance with a lady. Smart woman. You'd like her. She's stubborn and opinionated and doesn't let anyone push her around. Sounds familiar. He pulled her closer. I'm serious about her meeting you. No, Declan. I know what I said earlier got interrupted, but I meant it, Vivian. Every word. Her heart hammered against her ribs. We should talk about this somewhere private. After this dance, they moved together in comfortable silence, the music wrapping around them. Vivian became aware of people watching, some with interest, some with envy. Trevor stood at the edge of the floor, his expression unreadable. She didn't care. For once, she wasn't thinking about Trevor or what anyone else thought. She was just here with Declan in this perfect moment. The song ended. Another began. They kept dancing. By the 3rd song, Vivian's head rested against Declan's chest. She could hear his heartbeat steady and strong. His cheek rested against her hair. This wasn't acting anymore. This was real. Vivian, he said softly. She looked up. The expression in his eyes made her breath catch raw and vulnerable, and achingly honest. I need to tell you something. Excuse me, everyone. Trevor's voice cut through the music. The band stopped playing. All heads turned. Trevor stood on the small stage, microphone in hand, looking slightly drunk and extremely determined. Trevor, what are you doing? Isa hurried toward the stage. I have something to say. He swayed slightly, definitely drunk. An announcement. Declan's arm tightened protectively around Vivian. 3 years ago, Trevor continued, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I left someone at the altar because I was scared and stupid. Vivian Reed was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it away. Vivian's stomach dropped. No, he wouldn't. And now she's here with him. He gestured wildly at Declan, pretending to be happy in some fake marriage. The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Trevor, stop, Isa pleaded. It's fake. The whole thing is fake. I had them investigated. You what? Vivian's voice rang out. Trevor looked directly at her. The marriage license. Vivian, there isn't one. No record with New York, Connecticut, or any surrounding state. You're not really married. The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Vivian felt like the floor was tilting. The photos. The blackmail. It had been Trevor all along. You hired someone to follow us. Declan's voice was dangerously quiet. I needed to know the truth. And I was right. You're not really together, which means... Vivian. Trevor stumbled slightly off the stage, walking toward them. You're free. We can try again. It's not too late. Are you out of your mind? Vivian stared at him in disbelief. You're engaged. I'll end it. Isa will understand. We can. I don't want you, Trevor. The words exploded out of her. I don't want you. I didn't want you 3 years ago when you left me humiliated and heartbroken. And I sure as heck don't want you now. Trevor blinked, shocked. But you had me investigated. You hired someone to stalk us. What is wrong with you? I was trying to protect you. From what? Being happy? Because newsflash, Trevor, I am happy. Happier than I've been in years. She turned to Declan, who was watching her with an unreadable expression. And yes, okay, fine. The marriage started as fake. Trevor's right about that. We lied because I made an impulsive, stupid decision at a gala when I ran into my ex-fiancé who broke my heart. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Catherine Ashford looked like she might faint. But you know what? Vivian's voice cracked slightly. Somewhere along the way, it stopped being fake. At least for me. Because I fell for him. I fell for Declan Blackwell. Declan's eyes widened. I fell for his terrible jokes and his robot boxers, and the way he opens doors and remembers how I take my coffee. I fell for the way he defended my name to Trevor and how he made me feel safe during the blackmail threats, which were you, by the way. You absolute. She stopped herself. I fell for every single thing about him. And if that makes me stupid or naive or whatever else people want to say, I don't care. Tears streamed down her face now. She didn't bother wiping them away. So congratulations, Trevor. You exposed our fake marriage. You won. I hope it makes you feel better. She pulled off the engagement ring, Declan's grandmother's ring, and tried to hand it to him. Her hand shook. Vivian. Declan's voice was rough. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I ruined everything, your reputation, your family's ring. Everything. Declan took the ring. Then he dropped to one knee. The entire room gasped. What are you doing? Vivian whispered. Vivian Reed. Declan said clearly. You didn't ruin anything. You burst into my carefully controlled life like a hurricane and turned everything upside down. You made me laugh when I'd forgotten how. You made me want things I'd convinced myself I didn't need. He held up the ring. This started as fake. Trevor's right about that too. But he's wrong about everything else because this, he gestured between them, this is the realest thing I've ever felt. Vivian couldn't breathe. I love you, Declan said simply. I love your impulsiveness and your terrible sense of direction and how you lose your keys twice a week. I love that you eat French toast for every meal if given the chance. I love how you see through all my walls, straight to the real me. His voice dropped lower, meant just for her. I don't want a fake marriage with you, Vivian. I want a real one. I want the fights about bedsides and whose turn it is to do dishes. I want lazy Sunday mornings and terrible reality TV. I want everything. He took a breath. So, I'm asking you for real this time. In front of everyone, will you marry me? Actually marry me? Vivian stared at him, at this man who'd agreed to a ridiculous fake marriage to help a stranger, who'd stood by her through blackmail and scandal, who was now proposing for real in front of the same people who'd just learned their whole relationship was a lie. It was insane. Absolutely insane. Yes, she said. Then louder. Yes. Declan stood and slipped the ring back on her finger. Then he pulled her into his arms and kissed her. Really kissed her. The kind of kiss that made the world disappear. The kind that promised forever. The kind that definitely wasn't appropriate for public viewing. But neither of them cared. The room erupted in applause. Some people cheered. Some probably still had questions. Vivian didn't care about any of it because Declan Blackwell loved her, and she loved him. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Isa was next to them. That, she said, grinning, was the most dramatic thing I've ever seen, and I love it. You're not upset? Vivian asked. Are you kidding? This is way better than my boring engagement party. Everyone's going to be talking about this for years. She glanced back at Trevor, who stood frozen by the stage, looking devastated. As for him, Isa's smile hardened. We're done. Anyone who would do what he did, hiring investigators, blackmail, ruining their own engagement party, that's not someone I can marry. Isa. I'm so sorry, Vivian started. Don't be. You did me a favor. Better to know now than after the wedding, right? She air-kissed both their cheeks. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an ex-fiancé to ceremonially dump. Try to keep the drama to a minimum for the rest of the night, okay? She swept away toward Trevor, who looked like he was about to be sick. Catherine Ashford appeared next, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. That was beautiful, she sniffed. Completely insane but beautiful. And for the record, I knew. You knew? Declan repeated. About the fake marriage? Of course. I've been on enough charity boards to know when someone's padding their story. But I could also see that you two had real feelings for each other. Sometimes people need a little push to realize what's right in front of them. She smiled conspiratorially. So I played along, and look, now you're actually getting married. I'm still claiming credit for this match. She walked away humming, leaving Vivian and Declan staring after her. Did she just? Vivian trailed off. I think we got played by a socialite matchmaker. I think I'm okay with that. More people came over to congratulate them, some genuinely happy, some clearly just wanting gossip fodder. Declan fielded them all with practiced ease, never letting go of Vivian's hand. After what felt like hours, they finally escaped to the terrace. The party continued inside, but out here it was quiet, just the ocean and the stars. So, Vivian said, that happened. That happened. You proposed for real? I did. In front of everyone. Seemed like the moment. Vivian laughed, slightly hysterical, mostly relieved. We're insane. Completely. Declan pulled her close. But I meant every word. Even the part about my terrible sense of direction? Especially that part. He kissed her forehead. Though we're getting you a GPS tracker. Romantic. Practical. What happens now? Vivian asked. Like actually? Do we get married tomorrow? Next week? Do we wait? What do you want? Honestly, I want to skip all the wedding planning and drama and just be married to you. Declan smiled. I know a judge. He owes me a favor. We could be married by Monday. Really? Really? Unless you want the big wedding with all the planning. No, definitely not. She wrinkled her nose. I tried that once. Didn't end well. Small ceremony. Just us, and whoever we actually want there. Harper and Rochelle. My mother and sister. Your terrifying mother who's going to hate me for the fake marriage thing. She's going to love you. Trust me. Vivian leaned into him. This is crazy. We've known each other for a week. Best week of my life. Even with the blackmail and scandal? Especially with the blackmail and scandal. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the ocean. The party noise behind them faded to background music. I love you, Vivian said quietly. I know I said it in there, but I want to say it again just to you. I love you, Declan Blackwell. I love you too, Vivian Reed. He paused. Soon to be Vivian Blackwell? Or Vivian Reed Blackwell? I haven't decided yet. Whatever you want, as long as you're mine. Possessive. You have no idea. He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring, promising. Somewhere in the distance, fireworks started, probably some elaborate display Isa had planned for the engagement party. But to Vivian, it felt like the universe was celebrating them. When they finally went back to the Rose Cottage, hours later, exhausted and happy, and still slightly in shock, they found champagne waiting with a note from Isa. Congratulations on your real engagement. Thanks for making my party unforgettable. She took it well, Vivian observed. She's probably already planning her next party. The time my ex's ex ruined my engagement. Will be infamous. Good. Let them talk. They changed into comfortable clothes, Vivian in an oversized t-shirt, Declan in pajama pants, and climbed into bed. The left side versus right side argument from before seemed ridiculous now. Vivian curled into Declan's side, his arm around her, her head on his chest. Declan? Yeah? Do you really have robot boxers? She felt his chest rumble with laughter. Yes. Can I see them? Absolutely not. But I'm your fiancé. Some things remain mysteries. I'll find them eventually. Good luck with that. Vivian smiled against his chest. This was real. They were real. Everything else, the fake marriage, Trevor's betrayal, the public scandal it had, all led here. To this moment. To this person. Hey, Declan? Yeah? Thank you for hugging me back that night at the gala. His arms tightened around her. Best decision I ever made. 6 months later, Vivian Blackwell, she'd decided to take his name, much to Declan's poorly concealed delight, stood in the penthouse kitchen burning French toast. Again. "I don't understand," she muttered, scraping blackened bread into the trash. "It's literally bread and eggs. How is this so hard?" "Because you get distracted," Declan said from the doorway, already dressed for work in one of his devastating suits. "I do not get distracted. You were on your phone. Harper sent you a meme while cooking. It was a really good meme." He walked over and kissed her temple. "I'll pick up breakfast on the way to the office. I'm a failure as a wife. You're perfect as a wife. Just maybe stay away from the stove." Rude. Accurate. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and groaned. "Your mother?" Vivian guessed. "Asking when we're giving her grandchildren? We've been married for 5 months. She's impatient. Tell her we're practicing." Declan's eyes darkened. "We're doing a lot of practicing. We're very dedicated to getting it right. Extremely dedicated." He pulled her close, and she melted into him like she always did, like she always would. "I have to go," he murmured against her lips. "Board meeting." "Go. Be impressive. Make millions. Dinner tonight, that place in Brooklyn you love. The one with the terrible service but amazing pasta. That's the one. It's a date." They'd kept that tradition, date nights every week, even now that they were married. Sometimes fancy restaurants, sometimes takeout on the couch, but always together. Declan grabbed his briefcase and headed for the door. Then he turned back. "Oh, I forgot to mention. I ran into Trevor yesterday." Vivian looked up from wiping down the counter. "Yeah? How'd that go?" He apologized. "Said he was seeing a therapist, working through some things. Asked if we could all grab coffee sometime." "What did you say?" "I said I'd ask you." Vivian thought about it. 6 months ago, the idea would have filled her with anxiety. But now? Sure. Why not? Maybe in a few weeks. "You're sure?" "I'm married to the love of my life. Trevor can't touch that." Declan's smile could have powered the entire city. "I love you. I love you too. Now go before you're late." He left. And Vivian looked around the penthouse. Their penthouse. Her art supplies were scattered on the dining table, where she'd been working on a freelance project. Declan's reading glasses sat on the coffee table. Their wedding photo hung on the wall, the small ceremony at City Hall with just their closest friends and family. It had been perfect. Everything was perfect. Her phone buzzed. A text from Declan. "Miss you already. And I found your keys. They were in the freezer again." Vivian laughed. "Some things never changed." She typed back. "That's why I married you. You're like a human key finder, among other talents. See you tonight, husband." Husband. Even after months, the word gave her butterflies. Vivian looked down at the ring on her finger, Declan's grandmother's ring. The one that had started this whole adventure, the one that was now real forever. Who knew that one impulsive hug at a charity gala would lead here? To love, to home, to everything she'd never known she wanted. Best fake marriage ever. The end.